Few questions garner as much attention as this one. What happens to a soul when the body finally rests? For many older folks, this question becomes even more pertinent as time goes on. But what if someone had clear, direct, and surprising answers about this moment? Sylvia Browne, known for her decades of studies on spirituality and the transition of the soul, dedicated part of her life to explaining what really happens when a person passes away. In this video, we will clearly present what she revealed about the soul's destination after death, especially in the case of seniors. What you'll hear here may change your view of the end of physical life. This isn't about blind faith, but about explanations that make sense and offer a new way to understand the passage. This content was made especially for you who seek answers, but also wish to find peace and understanding about what comes next. According to Sylvia Browne, the soul of an elderly person who passes away does not enter into confusion or fear, as many imagine. On the contrary, it goes through a serene and lucid process, since the accumulated life experience allows for a smoother transition. Sylvia stated that the spirit, upon detaching from the body, is immediately greeted by spirit guides who help it understand what is happening. This avoids shocks or disorientation. She explained that this welcoming is like being greeted by old friends who are waiting for you. For those who fear death, these words are a relief. If this type of explanation helps you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This way you can follow content that respects your journey and your search for understanding, always with empathy and clarity. The sensation described by Sylvia is not one of ending, but of reunion. Often, according to her, the elderly person sees relatives who have already passed away, such as parents, siblings, or even childhood friends. This reception has a calming effect. Upon recognizing these familiar faces, the soul understands that it is not alone and that this moment is a natural part of the path. Browne mentioned that many elderly people reported shortly before passing away that they saw loved ones in the room, even when no one else saw them. For her, these reports were not hallucinations, but signs that the transition process was already underway. The soul, at this stage, begins to detach from physical limitations and prepare for something bigger, lighter, and freer. Another key point cited by Sylvia is that the elderly soul generally no longer carries the anxieties of youth. Over time, many learn to forgive, to let go of guilt, and to accept what they have lived through. This emotional state facilitates the crossing. Browne believed that the soul takes with it everything it has learned, but leaves behind unnecessary pain. Therefore, aging can also be a silent and profound preparation for the next stage. The wisdom acquired throughout life is not lost, but is transformed into a foundation for what is to come. Death in this sense does not erase anything, it only reorganizes. And this is one of the reasons why she said that the elderly, for the most part, pass away with more peace than the young. She also said that soon after detaching from the body, the soul goes through a moment of review, as if watching a movie of its own life, observing each choice, each action, and the consequences it caused. But according to Sylvia, this review does not come with judgment, but with understanding. The goal is not to punish, but to learn. The elderly person, while watching their story, understands how their actions impacted others and what they could have done differently. This moment is important for spiritual growth, as it allows the soul to recognize its successes and failures with maturity. Consciousness expands and prepares the soul for the next step. For Browne, this was one of the most important stages of the passage. After this review, according to Sylvia, the soul chooses what it wants to do next. Some choose to rest in serene places, which she called recovery planes. Others prefer to continue learning or even helping other souls in their crossing. The decision depends on the state of the soul and the journey it has lived. This shows that there is no single or rigid destiny, but diverse paths, personalized for each one. Browne explained that the spiritual plane is broad and welcoming, not punitive or scary. This perspective can completely change the way we view death. Instead of a final point, it becomes a new phase of choices and learning, with freedom and continuous support. For seniors facing long or debilitating illnesses, Sylvia stated that the soul already begins to prepare, even before the final moment. She called this process gradual detachment. During periods of deep sleep or lapses of consciousness, the soul moves away from the body, for instance, and recognizes the spiritual environment. It is like visiting the place where you are going to move before the final move. This allows everything to happen more smoothly at the moment of passing. There are no surprises, as the soul already knows where it is going. Many reports from people in palliative care show that there is serenity in the last days. Sylvia interpreted this as a clear sign that the transition is already underway and that the spirit is gradually taking over, letting the body just fulfill its last cycles. She also reinforced that no soul leaves alone. There is always a presence alongside, even if it is not perceived by those around. According to Sylvia, there are spirit guides designated to accompany each person at the moment of passage. They know the story of that soul, its needs, its fears, and its trajectory. This constant presence ensures that there is no suffering in the crossing. The guides conduct with delicacy and respect, allowing the soul to feel safe. Even when the passing occurs suddenly, as in accidents or unexpected events, this spiritual assistance happens instantly. The soul does not get lost, as many fear. Sylvia said that the love with which these guides work is greater than anything we can imagine, and this should comfort those who remain. Another point that Sylvia Browne frequently addressed was the issue of religious beliefs. She said that the destiny of the soul is not linked to the specific religion that the person followed, but to the way they lived. What counts, according to her, are the values cultivated, respect for others, and the learning obtained throughout life. For her, the spiritual plane is inclusive, not exclusive. This means that regardless of faith or the absence of it, all souls are welcomed and guided at the moment of passage. This understanding can alleviate many doubts. Seniors who feel insecure for not following a certain belief can rest assured knowing that spiritual welcoming does not depend on labels, but on the essence of each one. What one takes is what one learned, not what one declared. Communication with those who remained was also a recurring theme in Sylvia's explanations. She said that many souls try to send signals to loved ones after passing, especially in the first few days. These signals can come through dreams, specific smells, objects that move, or even sensations of presence. Sylvia advised that instead of fear, people should feel gratitude for these manifestations. They represent the continuity of the bond and serve as proof that the soul is well. For seniors who worry about leaving their children or grandchildren helpless, this possibility of maintaining spiritual contact can be comforting. She said that the connection is not broken, it only changes its form. Love, being something that transcends time, continues to act even after parting. For many who fear being forgotten, Sylvia had a firm answer. No soul is forgotten. She explained that the spiritual plane records the existence of each one with depth and affection. It doesn't matter if the person had a discreet or public life, with great achievements or with simple routines. Each soul has its value and its importance in the whole. This vision contrasts with the common idea that after death, everything is erased. Sylvia said that this is not true. What was lived, felt, and learned remains, and more than that, it continues to be accessed and used as a basis for what the soul will experience next. For seniors who feel that their story is coming to an end, this idea of continuity brings comfort. Nothing is lost. Each gesture, each memory, each experience remains alive. Another belief often addressed by Sylvia Browne was about time on the spiritual plane. She said that time as we know it here does not exist there. This means that upon arriving on the other side, the soul can meet someone who passed away many years ago, as if they had separated only a few moments ago. This absence of linear time creates a sense of peace. There are no delays, rush, or fear of missing something. For seniors who have experienced difficult separations, this perspective offers hope. Sylvia reported that many reunions happened soon after arrival, and that these moments were marked by joy and profound relief. Loneliness is not eternal, she said, and when the reunion happens, everything that seemed lost regains meaning. This certainty helped many to face their last days with more serenity. Sylvia also addressed a curious idea about the souls of older individuals. She stated that Upon leaving the body, the soul returns to its full form without the effects of time or the physical limitations it carried. This means that in the spiritual realm, the soul is not old, weak, or limited. It is vigorous, lucid, and complete. Many older adults who felt sadness at the loss of abilities or the pain of the physical body would be relieved to know this. Sylvia said that the soul immediately recognizes itself in this restored form and feels a profound relief, as if it had shed an old weight and rediscovered its true nature. This vision shatters the fear of carrying limitations beyond life. The soul does not carry pain, illness, or old age. It carries only its essence, its experiences, and the wisdom gained. And this, according to Browne, is what really matters in this new stage. Another interesting point is how the soul understands its mission after passing. Sylvia explained that, in reviewing life, the soul understands the lessons it chose to live before incarnating. She believed that each of us chooses certain experiences before birth with the aim of evolving. Thus, after death, the spirit assesses whether it fulfilled this mission, what it learned from it, and what it still wants to develop. This understanding does not come with guilt, but with clarity. For older adults, this information can be comforting. Even those who feel they made mistakes or could have done more realize that everything was part of the learning process. Browne reinforced that there are no irreparable failures, only experiences that help the soul grow. Life, seen in this way, is a cycle of continuous evolution and never ends in frustration. Sylvia also demystified the fear of punishments or retribution after death. According to her, the spiritual realm is not a court of law, but a space of understanding. She said that the soul is not judged by another being, but by its own conscience. And even when it perceives mistakes, the feeling that arises is the desire to repair, not fear. This view completely changes the way many see the idea of the afterlife. Browne said that the main goal is not to punish, but to allow the soul to understand and evolve. Thus, even souls that have committed serious errors are not condemned, but invited to reflect and transform themselves. This approach brings relief to many older adults who fear not having lived a perfect life. For her, what matters is the intention, the effort, and the willingness to learn from what was lived. In addition, Sylvia reported that the soul maintains ties with those who remain on earth. These bonds are not broken by death. On the contrary, they become deeper and more silent. The soul can accompany loved ones, send intuitions, offer protection, and even positively influence important decisions. She explained that this does not occur constantly, but at specific moments, when there is emotional space for this connection to happen. Many people report feeling a familiar presence in difficult times, as if someone were nearby offering strength. Sylvia saw these reports as evidence of the actions of souls who have already passed. For seniors who are afraid of being forgotten, this information is a consolation. The soul continues to be present, even without a body, and continues to positively influence the lives of those it loves. Another detail cited by Sylvia is that the moment of passing is never random. According to her, the soul knows when its time is near. This does not mean that it controls the exact date, but rather that there is a kind of inner consent, an emotional and spiritual preparation that precedes the departure. Many older adults report feeling this intuitively. They say that they feel that they have already done what they needed to do, that they have fulfilled their role. Sylvia saw these feelings as signs that the soul is organizing itself for the transition. This awareness allows the process to occur more calmly. Even for those who are afraid, there is an internal relief, as if something says that everything is in order. This is not something that can be explained rationally, but many recognize this feeling in the last days of life. Sylvia stated that the soul continues to evolve even after death. It does not stagnate, nor does it enter a fixed state. There is learning, growth, and new challenges. The spiritual realm, according to her, is as dynamic as earthly life, only with other rules and possibilities. The soul can study, reunite with old affections, help other souls, and even choose a new journey in the future. For older adults who fear the absolute end, this vision offers an alternative full of meaning. It is not about ending, but about transformation. Life continues in another form, with new purposes and paths. Sylvia Browne dedicated decades to sharing these ideas, and her legacy helps thousands of people face the end with less fear and more clarity. For many, this is one of the greatest gifts that can be offered. Sylvia also frequently addressed the moments immediately after passing, stating that the soul feels a mixture of relief and recognition. Relief at leaving behind the pain and limitations of the physical body, and recognition at realizing that it is in an environment that is already familiar, even if it does not consciously remember it. She explained that this recognition comes from the deep connection that the soul has with its spiritual origin. According to her, when crossing the threshold between life and death, the soul does not enter the unknown, but returns to a state that it already knows, even if subtly. This explains why many people who go through near-death experiences report a feeling of intense peace, as if they were returning home. For older adults, who often live their last days with silent fears, this explanation can bring a rare kind of serenity and acceptance. Another aspect that Sylvia was keen to emphasize was the value of a life well lived, not in the sense of material achievements or fame, but of inner growth, respect for others, and constant learning. She said that at the moment of spiritual review, what weighs most is not mistakes, but wasted opportunities to love, to forgive, to help. This does not come as guilt, but as a chance for understanding. For older adults who carry regrets, this vision can be liberating. Nothing is in vain, she said. Even stumbles teach something. And this understanding helps the soul to move forward more lightly. Sylvia encouraged everyone to live with intention, remembering that every gesture counts and that the good done, however small it may seem, has immense value in the spiritual realm. This perspective gives a new meaning to daily life and the end of the journey. She also spoke about the reunion with pets after death. For many seniors who have spent their lives alongside dogs, cats, or other companions, this idea was especially touching. Sylvia stated that the bonds between souls are not limited to humans. According to her, animals have an elevated spiritual sensitivity and remain connected with those who cared for them with love. After death, it is common for these presences to be among the first to welcome the soul, bringing comfort and familiarity. For those who have felt the pain of losing a beloved animal, this possibility is a comfort. Sylvia said that true love is never lost, and the reunion with these companions is another sign that existence continues, now free from the limitations of the physical world, but still full of affection and recognition. Over the years, Sylvia Browne was the target of criticism and praise, but she never ceased to assert that her revelations came from sources that she considered reliable. Her accounts do not require blind faith, but rather openness to reflect. And above all, they offer an alternative to the cold and finalistic view of death. For older adults, this alternative can represent a new way of facing the time that remains. Instead of living the last years with fear or denial, it is possible to transform this period into a time of preparation, reconciliation, and understanding. Sylvia said that death should not be a taboo, but a part of life that deserves to be understood calmly and respectfully. This respectful approach can help many talk about the topic with family, friends, and themselves in a healthier way. She also encouraged that whenever possible, people make it clear to their loved ones that they would be well after passing. This would help those who remain to better cope with the pain of absence. For Sylvia, the peace of those who depart also depends on the tranquility of those who remain. Therefore, she suggested sincere conversations, words of affection, and conscious farewells when life allows. It is not about anticipating the loss, but about building an effective legacy that remains. Many older adults carry the desire to be remembered with love, and this is a way to ensure that what is said in life has power, and even silence, when full of presence and affection, communicates the essential. Sylvia believed that emotional preparation for farewell is a gift for both those who depart and those who remain. In light of all this, what we can learn is that death is not a solitary and dark end, but an assisted, understood, and meaningful transition. Sylvia Browne dedicated her life to clarifying this process and showing that the soul remains active, present, and evolving. For those of you who have come this far, perhaps this video has brought new ideas or simply alleviated old doubts. If it touched your heart or made you reflect, consider sharing this content with someone you love. And if you wish to follow other reflections like this, subscribe to the channel. Knowledge is a safe path to face the great mysteries of life with more serenity. And perhaps by better understanding the departure, we can also live with more presence, more affection, and more purpose in the time we still have.